In 2012, Carlo and Sofia Romano took their children, Gianna and Luca, for a summer picnic at Italian Falls. By nightfall, their car was still in the lot, doors locked, belongings inside, but the family was gone. For 7 years, search teams, divers and locals scoured the cliffs and waters, finding nothing. Then a drone operator flew near the roaring cascade and captured something hidden beyond human reach. On a shadowed ledge behind the falls lay shapes that weren't rock, arranged in a way that felt deliberate and chilling. Before we go any further, if this is your first time here, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support means the world and helps us bring you even more powerful stories. Stick with us until the end, and if this mystery moves you, share your thoughts in the comments and pass it along to a friend. The roar of Italian Falls is constant, a sound that swallows every other noise around it. For 7 years, it had also swallowed a mystery, the disappearance of the Romano family. Tourists came and went, taking photos, tossing coins into the pools, never realizing what lay just beyond sight. Then, in 2019, a drone pilot named Marco set his quadcopter loose above the cliffs. He was filming for a travel blog, angling for sweeping shots of the cascade and the mist curling off the rocks. But as the drone dipped lower, weaving near an overhang that no human eye could reach safely, its camera caught something that made Marco freeze at his controller. The footage wasn't just the usual shimmer of water on stone. It showed a dark recess, half hidden by the spray, a ledge that looked almost like an altar carved by time itself. And on that ledge, strange shapes. Not driftwood, not rock, something pale, rigid, unmoving. Marco replayed the footage again and again, his hands trembling. Whatever the camera had seen, it wasn't supposed to be there. The discovery would soon send shockwaves through Italy. Because the Romano family, missing for 7 years, might have just been found. The Romanos weren't the kind of family anyone expected to vanish. Carlo, the father, was a 42-year-old mechanic who ran a small garage in Florence. He was known for working late hours, hands always slick with grease but never missing Sunday dinners. His wife, Sofia, was a schoolteacher, gentle, organized, the one who made sure every picnic basket had sandwiches wrapped tight and bottled water packed in pairs. Their 2 children, Luca and Gianna, were 9 and 12 at the time. Luca was restless, always with a soccer ball tucked under one arm. Gianna was quieter, more observant, with a habit of sketching whatever she saw. Trees, cats, even the way sunlight hit the kitchen window. Together they were ordinary, tight-knit, the kind of family neighbors waved to every morning. That summer in 2012, Carlo suggested a weekend trip to Italian Falls, a popular spot just outside the city. A quick escape, he told a coworker. Kids need fresh air. It wasn't unusual. Families often drove out for a picnic by the water, letting the mist cool their skin in the summer heat. On the morning of July 14th, the Romanos packed their small sedan. Sofia tucked sandwiches and fruit into a wicker basket. Gianna brought her sketchbook. Luca kicked his ball against the tire, while Carlo checked the map. Neighbors later remembered seeing them drive off, windows rolled down, music drifting faintly out. Just an ordinary family chasing a summer afternoon. No one imagined it would be the last time anyone saw them alive. Italian Falls is a place that lures you in with beauty, then reminds you how small you are. Water thunders down limestone cliffs, white spray rising like smoke into the air. The falls crash into a basin so wide it seems endless, the mist cooling the skin of anyone standing too close. From the tourist paths, it's breathtaking, a postcard of power and serenity. But locals know another side. The rocks near the edge are slick as glass, worn down by centuries of rushing water. Caverns run behind the falls, narrow cracks that twist into darkness. Some swear you can hear echoes inside, like voices whispering, though it's only the roar of water bouncing off stone. Rangers post warning signs, slippery surface, stay on path. Still, visitors lean in for photos, daring each other closer. Old men in town tell stories, half in jest, half with unease, about families who wandered too far, about currents that pull you under so fast you can't even scream. One muttered to a journalist years later, "The falls don't always give back what they take." It was here, amid the mist and roar, that the Romanos spread their picnic blanket. Sofia laid out sandwiches, Luca kicked his ball near the railing, and Gianna sketched the falling water. Carlo, ever the careful one, reminded them not to stray. Yet somewhere between that ordinary afternoon and sunset, the falls swallowed the entire family. The Romano family reached Italian Falls just before noon. Witnesses remembered them clearly, because they seemed so normal. A couple taking photos near the bridge said Sofia waved politely as she shepherded Luca and Gianna across, Carlo carrying the heavy picnic basket in one hand. They picked a shaded spot on the grassy overlook, the kind families fought for on busy weekends. Gianna opened her sketchbook immediately, pencil scratching across the page as mist dampened the edges of her paper. Luca pestered his father to let him play nearer the rail. "Careful," Carlo warned, steadying the boy with a firm hand on the shoulder. Tourists who passed by noticed their laughter. One hiker told investigators later, "They looked happy, nothing strange. Just a family enjoying the day." But sometime after 3 p.m., their presence seemed to vanish. Their blanket was later found still spread neatly on the grass. Sandwiches half-eaten, water bottles unopened, Gianna's sketchbook resting open on a half-finished drawing of the falls. By 6 p.m., the parking lot began to empty. That's when a ranger noticed the Romano car still parked, doors locked, picnic basket missing. A slow unease crept in. Families didn't just leave everything behind. By nightfall, the car was the only one left. Mist curled around it, headlights off, windows streaked with condensation. The Romanos were gone. Not one person saw them leave. When the Romanos didn't return home that night, neighbors grew uneasy. Sofia's sister called repeatedly, first with worry, then with panic, as each ring went unanswered. By morning, when the kids didn't appear at summer camp and Carlo failed to open his garage for customers, the alarm was raised. Police checked Italian Falls first. Their car was still there, parked neatly, locked from the outside. Inside, Sofia's purse, Carlo's watch left in the cup holder, Gianna's colored pencils scattered across the back seat. But no family, no sign they had walked away willingly. Rangers swept the area with flashlights, their beams cutting through mist that clung stubbornly to the rocks. They called out names, voices lost in the roar of the falls. Dogs were brought in, circling frantically before pulling toward the overlook, whining, then stopping cold at the edge. Tourists whispered as they watched the scene unfold. "How does an entire family vanish?" "All 4 at once?" one asked. Another shook her head, crossing her arms tightly. "Falls took them. Happens more than people think." By evening, searchers found the picnic spot still undisturbed. Sandwiches stale, water bottles warm. Gianna's sketchbook damp but intact. The last strokes of her pencil showed the outline of the falls, a shadowy shape sketched just behind the mist. The Romanos had not simply left. They had disappeared, absorbed into the roar of Italian Falls. The search for the Romanos launched at sunrise. Rangers, police, and volunteers formed lines along the trails, boots sinking into wet soil, eyes scanning every crevice. Helicopters thundered overhead, blades scattering mist into thin ribbons. They searched the overlook first. No torn clothing, no footprints beyond the rail. Just damp grass and the sound of endless water. Divers entered the basin at the foot of the falls, ropes tied to their waists, flashlights cutting through dark swirling currents. Hours later, they surfaced shaking their heads. Nothing but rocks and churn. Contradictions surfaced quickly. A hiker swore she saw the family walking toward the trails near 3:30 p.m., but another insisted they'd left hours earlier. One ranger found shoe impressions near a side path, small like a child's, but rain blurred them beyond certainty. Locals clustered at the parking lot, murmuring. One man muttered, "Search won't find them. Falls took 'em." His friend replied, "But 4 at once? Doesn't happen like that." By the 4th day, the effort grew frantic. Posters went up, media swarmed, but the falls remained unmoved. No clothing snagged on rocks, no belongings washed up downstream. The Romanos had been swallowed whole, leaving behind only their car and a half-finished picnic. When the official search failed, the silence left a vacuum, and silence never stays empty for long. In the villages around Italian Falls, gossip became the second search party. At a cafe near the piazza, old men leaned over espresso cups. "Families don't vanish like that," one said flatly. "Maybe they staged it. Started a new life." His friend shook his head. "Carlo? He loved his kids." He wouldn't. Others whispered about darker forces. A woman at the market told anyone willing to listen that the falls were cursed, that for centuries locals avoided its caves after hearing strange chants in the mist. She swore her grandfather once saw candles flickering near the rocks. "Cult work," she muttered. "Not accident." Some blamed Sofia. "She was restless," one neighbor said in hushed tones. "Talked about leaving Florence." Another snapped back. "That's cruel. She adored those children." The gossip grew more dramatic with every retelling. Voices lowered. Eyes darted, as if speaking of the falls too loudly would summon it closer. The Romanos' disappearance had already slipped from tragedy into legend, and legends, once they take root, grow faster than facts. In the weeks that followed, the case became a tangle of false starts. Tips poured in from all over Italy. A truck driver swore he'd seen a family matching the Romanos at a gas station 2 towns over, but security footage showed no such stop. Another caller claimed they'd been spotted boarding a ferry, but passenger lists came up empty. Closer to the falls, details didn't align. Rangers reported faint footprints on a side trail, too small to be Carlo's boots, possibly Gianna's. Yet the impressions ended abruptly on flat rock, as if she vanished mid-step. Divers later claimed they saw something metallic glinting in the depths, but when they returned with lights, it was gone. One report unsettled investigators most. A tourist couple remembered hearing a scream near the falls that afternoon. They'd dismissed it as play at the time. But now, they weren't so sure. Authorities tried to piece it all together, but every lead collapsed. Officials insisted it was likely a tragic accident, but whispers in town grew sharper. If it was the falls, where are the bodies? One man asked over wine. Another answered darkly, maybe they're still there, just not where we can see. The contradictions piled higher than the evidence, and in their shadow, the Romano family became both a mystery and a warning. By late August, authorities released their first official statement. It was careful, clinical. The Romano family most likely suffered a tragic accident at Italian Falls. The evidence suggests they were swept away by currents too strong to recover their remains. To many, it sounded like closure, but to the family, it sounded like dismissal. Carlo's brother stood outside the police station, gripping a photo of the 4 smiling Romanos. You found no bodies, no clothing, not even a shoe. How can you call this an accident? He demanded. Sofia's sister added, they did not fall. Something else happened. Stop trying to end this story before it begins. At town meetings, tension flared. Officials urged calm, repeating their theory of natural causes. But in the back rows, locals muttered, falls don't take 4 at once. They're covering something. One ranger, speaking off the record, admitted unease. I've pulled bodies from the basin before. The water gives back. Eventually. This time, nothing. The divide was clear. The state called it an accident, while the family and townsfolk whispered it was anything but. And in that gap, the mystery only grew heavier. As months bled into years, the search ended, but the weight of the disappearance lingered like mist over the falls. The Romano family became a name whispered more than spoken. Their car was eventually towed from the lot, leaving only a faint oil stain on the gravel where it had sat for weeks, a silent reminder of what never came home. In Florence, their house stood frozen in time. Neighbors noticed curtains never drawn back, a soccer ball left deflated in the yard. Gianna's sketches still taped to her bedroom wall. Relatives kept the doors locked, unable to box up what remained. On anniversaries, flowers appeared at Italian Falls. Bouquets wilted quickly in the spray, but year after year they returned, signs that the family wasn't forgotten. Reporters occasionally revived the story, showing the same smiling photos of Carlo, Sofia, Luca, and Gianna. Each time, the headlines read the same, still missing. But with no new evidence, hope grew thin. By the 7th year, the case had shifted into something larger, folklore. Locals told visitors to be careful, pointing at the cliffs. That's where the family vanished. Some told the story as warning, others as legend, each retelling stretching the truth a little further. The falls had swallowed the Romanos whole, and for 7 years it kept them. By 2019, the story of the Romano family had drifted into the background of Italian news. But technology had changed in those 7 years. Drones, once rare and costly, had become tools for travelers, vloggers, and amateur explorers. Suddenly, places long unreachable could be seen from the sky. Marco, a local drone enthusiast, wasn't chasing mysteries. He filmed waterfalls, cliffs, and hidden valleys for his small YouTube channel. One humid afternoon in July, he brought his quadcopter to Italian Falls. His plan was simple: capture wide, cinematic footage of the cascades, the kind tourists would share online. As his drone lifted, the view opened, mist curling, sunlight refracting off the torrent. He angled lower, guiding the lens along the cliffs where spray blurred the edges. Then, almost by accident, he steered toward a shadowed overhang near the base of the falls, a place no hiker or diver could safely reach. Through his controller screen, Marco froze. Behind the curtain of water, the camera revealed a ledge. It was flat, wide, unnaturally smooth, like an altar carved by hand. And on it, something pale, something human-shaped. His heart thudded. He steadied the drone, zooming in, replaying the footage. The falls had kept their secret for 7 years. Now the camera had pried it open. Marco landed the drone with trembling hands, sweat prickling his neck despite the cool mist. He replayed the footage on the small controller screen, pausing frame by frame. The overhang wasn't just stone. Its surface was flat, deliberate, like something constructed, not formed by chance. And the shapes lying on it? At first, he tried to convince himself they were driftwood, pale branches bleached by water. But the angles were wrong, too symmetrical. A curve that looked like a shoulder, the outline of a small arm pressed stiff against the surface. Marco's breath caught. He scrubbed through the video again, zooming closer. 4 shapes. 2 larger. 2 smaller, side by side. The realization was suffocating. For 7 years, divers, hikers, rangers, all had searched and found nothing. And yet here they were, just hidden beyond reach, behind the endless roar of the falls. Marco sat frozen, debating whether to call police or walk away. He knew what drone pilots whispered. Sometimes it's better not to find what you weren't looking for. But his footage was undeniable. He uploaded the files to his laptop, the stills clearer now. The Romano family hadn't vanished into thin air. They had been here all along, laid out on stone, like an offering. When Marco turned the footage over, investigators treated it like wildfire, something dangerous that could spread fast if not contained. The drone clips were copied, slowed, enhanced, and what they revealed shook even the most seasoned officers. On the ledge behind the curtain of water lay 4 bodies, preserved, impossibly, as if time had halted the day they vanished. Carlo and Sofia stretched side by side, their children placed carefully at their feet. The pale, resinous sheen coating them glimmered under the drone's lens, sealing their expressions mid-breath. Gianna's small hand seemed frozen in motion, as if reaching for her sketchbook that was never found. Luca's head tilted slightly, mouth open, caught in a sound that would never be heard. The parents' faces carried no decay, no collapse, just stillness, an eerie suspension. What disturbed investigators most wasn't just the preservation. It was the arrangement. The family wasn't scattered by nature's chaos. They were positioned, deliberate, symmetrical, like figures in a ritual display. Authorities withheld the footage from the public, calling it sensitive evidence. But rumors leaked quickly. At cafes and gas stations, locals whispered they weren't lost. They were placed. The falls had returned the family, but not in any way anyone expected. News of the drone footage spread faster than officials could contain it. By the time investigators issued their careful statement, evidence has been recovered and is under analysis. The public already knew. Screenshots leaked online, blurred but unmistakable. 4 bodies on stone, gleaming under the spray of Italian falls. The town erupted. At cafes, people spoke in urgent whispers. They were arranged, one woman said firmly. That's not an accident. A man at the next table leaned closer. Police knew more than they're saying. They didn't want tourists scared. Some blamed cult activity, dredging up old rumors of ceremonies in the caves near the falls. Others suggested a cover-up, insisting authorities had discovered the site earlier but kept it hidden. 7 years of silence? One shopkeeper scoffed. They don't stay quiet that long unless someone told them to. The Romano relatives, already torn by years of waiting, now faced another wound. Sofia's sister stood outside their shuttered family home, voice breaking. They were left there. Someone wanted them found this way. And officials dare call it an accident? Media crews swarmed the falls, cameras pointed at mist that now seemed more sinister than beautiful. Every retelling twisted the story further, speculation blurring into legend. The drone had exposed the family's resting place, but it had also uncovered something darker, the weight of secrets, and the silence that protects them. The official case file on the Romano family now has a closing entry. Remains recovered, cause of death undetermined. For the state, the mystery is over, but for everyone else, it has only deepened. The falls gave them back, yes, but not scattered, not broken. They were arranged, side by side, sealed in a resin-like shell that defied time. Nature doesn't work like that. Someone, or something, chose to preserve them. Tourists still flock to Italian falls, snapping photos where the mist rises like smoke. But locals watch with wary eyes. Some say if you lean too close to the spray, you'll feel the pull of cold fingers. Others whisper about hidden caverns behind the roar, chambers that have held secrets for centuries. For the Romano family, closure never truly came. Their loved ones now lay flowers at the water's edge each summer, staring at the cascade that kept them hidden for 7 long years. And one question lingers in every hushed conversation. Who built that altar? And how many more secrets lie waiting, just out of sight, behind the endless roar of Italian falls? The mystery doesn't end where the water meets the stone. It lingers, unseen, where the falls refuse to let go. And that's the haunting case of the Romano family, vanished without a trace, only to be found years later in a place no one could reach. But the real question remains, who placed them there, and why were they preserved like that? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story gripped you, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next mystery. And send this to someone who loves unsolved cases, because the more we talk about these stories, the harder they are to forget.